Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The December the 6th, is that possible? Meeting of the Newberry County Board of Zoning Appeals will come to order. We do have a quorum. If you intend on speaking tonight, please sign up with Miss Bridget over on the desk. If you do speak tonight, consider yourself under oath. This is a judicial meeting, and I'd ask that you disable the audible function of your communicators so as not to interrupt the meeting. The format for tonight's meeting will be the statement of the matter to be heard will be first. Then we'll have a staff presentation of the application, presentation by the applicant limited to 5 minutes, presentation in support limited to 5 minutes, presentation in opposition limited to 5 minutes, if any. Applicant's reply to opposition will be given an opportunity for 5 minutes. The meeting will then be closed to the public, and the meeting will be turned over to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Just under public information, 10 letters were sent out to the contiguous property owners on these two cases tonight. We have two cases tonight. The properties were posted on November the 21st. The letters were also sent out on November the 21st. And the agenda for tonight's meeting appeared in the Newberry Observer on November the 16th. Our first order of business will be the approval of the minutes of the meeting of November the 1st,
Mr. Chairman,
2022. What's your pleasure, people?
Mr. Chairman, we need to add Mr. Metz, Patrick Metz, to the list of attendance of last month.
So ordered and corrections made. Any more corrections, deletions, omissions? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion.
Move that be approved.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Old business, none. First new business case, for new business case number VA 01-12-06-22. A variance request for the relief of the 25-foot required front yard setback to be 8 foot from the road right-of-way for a 24 by 24 open carport. The property is located at 304 Chalet Road, Prosperity, South Carolina, tax map number 653-3-39-9. Mr. Powell, are you speaking on this tonight?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The property on Chalet Road, there's a request to do an open carport there. If you will turn in your packet to Exhibit C. It shows that property there, sort of a triangle shape there with that X on it. The driveway comes in close to where that X is there, and that's going to be where they want to locate the carport. That makes sense to have this carport at that location because of the driveway access there. It wouldn't make sense to have it at any other location on this property, being the way the home is set up. So that's the reason for the variance request, because it can't quite meet the setback requirements of 25 feet from the right-of-way. If you'll also notice, the property just on down Chalet Drive toward the water also has some structures that are close to the property line. So it's pretty common in this area for some of these structures to be close to that road right-of-way. And also, Chalet Road is a dead-end road. It goes straight out to a point on the lake there. So there's not much traffic on this road other than the local folks going by. So it's for these reasons, staff recommends the approval of this variance.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Any questions for Mr. Powell from the board?
Would there be any visual obstruction for people driving that road?
No, sir, I don't see where there'd be any visual obstructions, because looking at that, oh, I lost my page. If you look
Seems
at
to be
that,
on a straightaway, pretty much.
yes, on the straightaway pretty much there. So I don't know, I can't imagine any kind of visual obstructions. It's a fairly narrow road too. Yeah.
Any more questions from Mr. Powell? Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Talbot, would you like to speak in favor of this?
Yes, sir.
Please.
I was trying to get this 24x24 metal structure shed for my kids live at this house. And just trying to something where they would be out of the weather with the nice cars they got. And I didn't build nothing there. I wanted to do this, because down the road, if people sell the house, somebody wants to move it and do something different, build a house there, they can do it, because it's a double wide on this property. So I just wanted to get something for now anyway, so.
Any questions for Mr. Talbot? Hearing none, thank you, Mr. Talbot. Anyone else here to speak in favor of this request? Anyone here to speak against this request? The request is now closed to the public. Board, I'll read the circumstances that applies to this and await your reply as I read them. The board is required to consider the following factors per section 153.052A through F of the zoning ordinance. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property.
Mr. Chairman, I concur.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who does not concur? These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district.
I concur, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Anyone that does not concur to this? Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict use of the property.
I concur, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Anyone to speak in opposition to that? The authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or to public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance, and the effect of the variance will not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, will not extend physically a non-conforming use of the land, will not change the zoning district boundaries shown on the official zoning map, and also 153.172 lot area width setback requirements as shown in the official zoning table. I'd like to have your response on items 4 and 5, please.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with both 4 and 5.
Anyone not agree? As all the conditions have been answered in the affirmative, the chair would entertain a motion.
I move the variance be granted.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Lister, I think.
Yes.
Seconded by Mr. Metz. Any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise. Your request is granted. Thank you, Mr. Talbot. You're welcome to stay or be excused, whatever. Good deal. We're glad to have you. Next case, case number VA 02-12-06-22. The variance request for the relief of the average of the 118-foot setback from the 360-degree contour of Lake Murray to be 91 feet for an in-ground pool. The property is located at 42 Somerset Place, Prosperity, South Carolina, tax map number 594-8-1 one. Mr. Powell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This property is off of Hollins Landing Road. Turn in like you're going down toward the points, and then it's off of Circle H. This is a new house being constructed here, and the way the house is situated on the lot, it's not conducive to having the pool at any other location other than on the lakeside, and of course, that's where it's most, most people would want it anyway, on the lakeside. Also, this house has a walkout basement. So around to the side of the house, if I get you to look at Exhibit C. And if you look at the lake side of where the house is drawn, that's a walkout basement side there. If you look on the right side of where the house is drawn, that's where the garage is gonna be, the driveway on that side. If you look on that left side, that's an elevated area that would be above, and also they'd have trouble with those, probably with those setbacks from that little side road there as well. So the most obvious place to try to place the pool is on the lake side. And of course, with our setback requirements, they couldn't quite meet that, and that's the reason for the request for the variance. And as far as these reasons that I just stated, that staff ask you to approve this variance or recommends this variance request. I think the adjoining houses, if you look at those, the way they're situated, I think it justifies what the owner wants to do here because of the way those adjoining houses are situated too. So staff is recommending a request for the variance.
Any questions for Mr. Powell from the board? Thank you, Mr. Powell.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anyone here to speak in favor of this request as the applicant or representative? Ms. Bridget?
Only thing I gotta say is everything Ron said, he pretty much covered it all.
Okay. Ms. Bridget is speaking for the applicant. Any questions from Ms. Bridget? Hearing none, is there anyone here to speak in opposition to this request? Hearing none, the application is now closed to the public. Gentlemen and lady, we're back to the finding of facts. I'll read them as I did before and wait for a response. The board is required to consider the following factors per section 153.052A through F of the zoning ordinance. 153.052C, 1 through 5. There are extraordinary and exceptional conditions pertaining to a particular piece of property.
Mr. Chairman, I would agree to that.
Anyone disagree? These conditions do not generally apply to other property in the vicinity or in that district.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with that.
Anyone disagree? Because of these conditions, the application of the ordinance to a particular piece of property would effectively prohibit or unreasonably restrict use of the property.
Mr. Chairman, I concur.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. Anybody disagree? The authorization of the variance will not be a substantial detriment to adjacent property or the public good, and the character of the district will not be harmed by the granting of the variance, and the effect of the variance will not allow the establishment of a use not otherwise permitted in the zoning district, will not extend physically a non-conforming use of the land, will not change the zoning district boundary shown on the official zoning map. I ask for your response on items 4 and 5.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with number 4 and 5.
Thank you. Anyone disagree? Hearing none, the board would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we approve the variance as requested.
I would second that motion.
Motion's been made and a second. Any discussion or any more discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. What else can I talk about? next schedule, I'm sorry?
Next month's business?
Yeah, next BZA meeting, January the 3rd. We got business? Okay. Thank you, folks, for coming out. Merry Christmas to you
Yeah,
all.
Merry Christmas to y'all.
The chair would entertain one more motion if you'd like, but we can stay a while.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, if there's no further business, I move for the adjournment of this meeting.
Ron, you got anything?
No, sir, I don't.
Laurie? Okay. We're adjourned.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Good job.